News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Brought to you by Fishy Sam's Organic Aftershave. Let's face it, men, there's nothing more attractive to a woman than a tough guy who works hard. And there's no one who works harder than deep sea fishermen. So before you head off for that big date, spray on a blast of Fishy Sam's Organic Aftershave, and you can hit the town smelling like the inside of a cargo hold on a North Atlantic tuna boat. Nothing screams testosterone like the smell of decaying fish. Man up with Fishy Sam's Organic Aftershave.
Yeah, well,
I got nothing. Nothing.
You've heard of parting the crowd, Allan. So, yeah,
gosh.
wear that stuff out on the town, and you won't have any other men getting near you.
I just have this image of a guy running down the street being chased by 400 cats.
Absolutely. Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning.
Oh, I'm Allan Gilbreth with GeekySideTV.com.
And, of course, that was our buddy Kelly Cruz, who, she should know. She's the authority.
Ooh.
I mean, okay. Anyway, you can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Well, today would be a great day for people to call if they're thinking of remodeling their kitchen or bathroom, Allan. We got, or if they're buying or selling a home. We've got two guests coming in today. We got our buddy Mike Serafolian from Tri-State Interiors. He's going to be joining us shortly.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I like their approach. They're very high-tech, and we're going to talk about some of that. And he's actually bringing in a 30 years of stupid that you're going to appreciate.
Yes.
He's going to take part in that. Then later in the show, Allan, our buddy Rick Bowman from Weichert Realtors Benchmark is coming in with Shelia Litman. That's one of his associates, and they've got a lot of real estate stuff because it's, you know, let's face it, it's like being in the trenches out there. When you're buying or selling a home, it's combat these days.
Yeah, you need help. You know, those bygone days of stick a sign in the yard and, you know,
those
paint,
days are gone.
paint the fence, oh my gosh, it is so competitive now.
Absolutely. So it's a good, they're good people to talk to. So you might want to weigh in on that as well. We've got our must-have item of the week, and we've got lots of other surprises coming at you. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that.
And now, Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
Today, let's talk about belts. Anyone traveling past the orbit of Mars will need to make sure their spaceship has good shielding when they pass through the asteroid belt located just beyond. That's the right spot, right, Allan?
Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Ironically, a heavyweight boxer may win a championship belt after giving their opponent a good belt. Yeah, I mean,
true.
Let's face it. If you were a Cubs fan in 2021, you may have needed several good belts of adult beverages to make it through the season. Amen, brother. And, of course, on one noteworthy occasion, when Allan Gilbreth was still in kindergarten, attending a birthday celebration of a fellow classmate, Allan's gift of a handmade snakeskin belt made from the hide of a western diamondback rattlesnake, which Allan himself had fashioned that very morning using only a Swiss Army knife, an ice cream scoop, his uncle's industrial strength trouser press, and his mother's sewing machine, turned out to be the hit of the party as well as the talk of the school faculty for weeks to come. I will say this for Allan. He uses the whole snake.
You don't waste anything. Ever.
Yes, belts can be quite remarkable and oftentimes very handy. For millennia, woodworkers have endeavored to find new and better ways to smooth wood quicker and more effectively. In the year 1926, a bold new device was invented, combining the power of an electric motor and sandpaper shaped like a belt. My friends, we give you the belt sander.
Woo. Yes.
Oh, boy. I love the belt sander. Oh. That is the, okay, right out of the gate, Allan. This is not a finesse tool. Don't grab this if you've got to just sort of gently get rid of a few scratches and
No, this is what you grab after you've been playing with the chainsaw.
Right. Yeah.
This is
the, and don't, you know, we if you're ever going to go to your big box store and you decide you want to sand down your hardwood floors, you know, don't sit still ever. keep it moving parallel with the, there's probably we need some a PSA about belt sanders, don't we?
Oh my God. Well, the belt sander ranks right up there with like the power washer.
Yeah.
If it's the right tool for the right job, fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
If it ain't, trust me, folks, it ain't.
Yeah.
Yeah. My gosh.
I've got a variety of sanders at home, Alan. I've got my orbital sander. I've got, of course, sanding blocks. I got a lot of different grits of sandpaper. But we've both been there. You've got to sand something, and you pull out either the sanding block or the orbital sander, and it's going to take forever. And you're like, you know what? Time to whip out the big gun. And the belt sander is a brilliant design. It's let's give credit where credit's due. In 1926, this was invented by Art Emmons. He was the Porter Cable's. Okay, so they hired this guy as their chief engineer and their lead to lead their research and development department. And boy, did he ever! I guess Porter Cable was just sort of this company trying to chug along. And when he came along, he innovated a lot of great things. So,
this is one of these companies that reached a certain size, then had the vision to kind of go, all right, we got this working. Now, what else do we need?
Right. Yeah, they got rolling. And, of course, Porter Cable's a huge company now. And the belt sander was such a brilliant idea. And it was just simply using leverage, you could say, using physics to your advantage. And
nice little drive motor.
But it's a great tool. It hasn't changed a whole lot, except they were smart enough to put a dust collector on the new one. So that,
yes.
But check out the belt sander. Absolutely a beautiful machine. All right, Alan, we're going to take a quick break, and then hopefully our buddy Mike Serafolian's at the door. I'm going to go check. So you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
We painted the whole house, and without getting a drop of paint on anything but the flapping flotsam. What's that?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Told you to put the drop cloths down, Alan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, if you miss any of Tool Talk Radio, never fear. Allan, it's saved for the ages, right?
It is indeed. All they got to do is go to tooltalkradio.com, and you can catch up on all the past episodes, or you can join us on Spotify, and you can, take us with you and binge.
Yeah, subscribe to us. I love Spotify. It's a great one. Spotify, when are you going to start sending me those checks? But
we got.
But it's a great platform. Super easy to use. You don't have to download the app, although it's much easier if you do. And you can make sure you give us a 5-star review, though.
Yeah, please do.
And comment, nice comments. I guess it doesn't matter, actually. They pay attention to all comments.
Well,
there,
so
you can be honest about what you think of us.
That's like, well, look at this. You're listening to us chuckleheads anyway, so we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
And, of course, go to Tool Talk Radio's, our Facebook page, and like us there. So, hey, you know what else you should do, Alan? If you have any HVAC needs, if you have... If your air quality in your home is not good enough, if you want to up the security in your home or up the the apps, the different smart home technology, there's only one name to call. Call the good people at Brown Refrigeration, Heating and Air Conditioning. This is the time of year. I mean, it's funny. I say that. He's busy year round, but this is that weird transitional time.
This is that week where we've had at least 2 seasons.
I was
pretty
in
much every
shorts
day.
and a winter coat. Yeah, it's like, well, not a winter, but it was cold. I was working outside, and one day I wore shorts to work, Alan. The next day I made the mistake of wearing them again, and I was freezing the whole day. So, but anyway, they're great people over there. They can take care of it, and they've got they make these tune-ups, which is good.
Yes.
So get your system tuned up, even if you're not sure what kind of condition it's in. It's always a good idea. They'll look under the hood, so to speak.
Well, there's a lot of safety concerns, especially kicking the heat back on after it's been off for a while.
Right.
That bad smell is all that old stuff burning off the burners, but you really want to have that double checked for safety to make sure your home is good and secure.
Absolutely. So give them a call at 901-362-1881 or go to their website, brownref.com. All right, Allan, let's introduce our pal, Mike Serafolian. So, Mike, I still, it's funny, I still misspell your name whenever I'm just writing it out. I have to have your card here right in front of me so I get it right. But Tri-State Interiors is super easy to remember. So, but Mike, you're all about kitchen and bathroom remodeling.
Yes, sir.
Which I have to imagine, do you have a degree in like psychology or something? Because those are the two most disruptive.
No, but my mom does.
Okay.
There you go.
I mean, because that's a serious serious commitment. That's a serious undertaking. And boy, people, you want to get it right when it comes time to remodel the kitchen or bathroom. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, those are the two rooms that are, I mean, let's face it, they are the two linchpin rooms. They are the utilitarian rooms of the home.
Yeah, and they're the two rooms that if you do anything to, that's where you're going to make your money back.
Yes.
If you paint the living room, put new carpet in the living room, that's nice.
Right.
But people really want to see, hey, new cabinets, new countertops, looks,
Absolutely. So, well, Mike, you guys utilize something that I think it's really the wave of the future for. I think it's just the way to go. And you do these 3D renderings, and I wanted to talk about that because the design process when you're going to remodel your kitchen or bathroom. I mean, I remember the days, Allan, you had to draw everything up and you had to sketch it out, and even then, even the best blueprints really don't capture the feel of what you're going to get.
Exactly,
right? So.
And the renderings that we do, it's a 360 degree panorama. So I can send you the link and put you in the middle of the room, and you can look up, you can look down, you can look left, to the right, and it's computer generated. So I mean, it's as realistic as you're gonna get.
You just made me think of something, Mike. You know what you should do? You should hook up with some of these gamer guys, Allan. I'm thinking, these virtual reality goggles. You put those on, and then you could almost feel like you're walking right through the kitchen. So,
yeah.
No, anyway, but it is true, and Allan, and so that's what I was wondering, Mike. Is this must be kind of the interesting part of the project because. You don't have if your client says, well, I kind of like those cabinets, but I might want to change this or something. So are they involved in that whole process? I mean,
yeah, as far as the design of the kitchen or the bathroom, yeah. I mean, it's say you called me out, say I want a new kitchen. We talk about what ideally you'd like. And, then, okay, are you going to use the same appliances? Are you going to get new appliances?
Yeah.
Because the appliances dictate kind of what the cabinet layout's going to be. Do you want a single oven? Do you want a double oven? Do you want, how big of a cooktop do you want? And then, there's a list of stuff. Do you want to have the cabinets go into the ceiling? Do you want to have them staggered? If you have a really short wall, it might not be the best solution to have. If you have 3 cabinets on a wall, you might not want to have one cabinet higher than the other.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to consider there.
I guess what I'm wondering too is because when you walk in there and you're for the initial consultation and everything, do you find that maybe you have to kind of open people's eyes a little bit in terms of what their possibilities are? Like in other words, you could say, if you lose this wall here, or if you build a wall here, or if you close this out or remove this door, suddenly you can, change the whole layout of the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because just a lot of people, they're not like us. They're not technical minded,
right?
And so they don't know what is available. Part of the design process is there's a lot of stuff that we can put into a cabinet to make life easier. Some stuff is gimmicky, some stuff is not. I had a lady. I said, "Would you like a trash can rollout?" She said, "You can put my trash can in the cabinet." So yeah.
Well, now, and that's what strikes people. You go up against a lot of good old fashioned, I love to call it legacy thinking. And it's like, well, grandma's kitchen looked like this, mom's kitchen looked like this, my kitchen looks like this. And the harsh reality is, it doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah.
Of if you want, well, I'm thinking like some of my more gourmet friends of, at one point in time, I had 2 refrigerators in a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And just happened to have a kitchen laid out with a big enough area where you could actually do that. And for entertaining and do you want a wine fridge? Does that go into the counter? Do you want and a big thing if you have children, where do you want to put the snack fridge?
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, we did a reno a little while back, and we added in a snack fridge.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, that was probably the least expensive, cheesiest thing we did. And it was the lightning strike that just, a little thing to think of. Why not have a snack fridge? Why not make something easier so the kids aren't in the big fridge letting out all the cold air?
The real fridge. So, well, Mike, do you find too that because honestly, Allan, you and I can remember this too, because I think Mike's a little younger than this, but the kitchen used to be the place you cook the food and you bring it out and you bring it into the dining room or something. Well, now the kitchen is like the center. The kids are doing their homework on the counter. It's the wall has been removed and now you're looking into the den and everything else. It's more central. And,
it's the central hub of the house, and it's kind of funny how kitchens have changed and kitchen design has changed over the years and decades to accommodate that. The kitchen used to be a small room in the back of the house that was solely for cooking.
Right. And
then, in the 20s, as people started working and becoming, just busier, I guess, it has evolved into, more of that central hub.
I feel like it's a little old world, though, Allan, because wouldn't the kitchen have been back in your day, like in the 1800s? Wouldn't it have been the central part of the?
All right, well, hang on. If you can go to a historical site in Vicksburg, Mississippi, called the Mcraven House, and it is the perfect example of why the kitchen has been such a difficult room. Because if you think back just before electricity, what did you cook on? Fire.
Oh, it would have been hot too. That's true. Yeah.
Hot and dirty.
So the kitchen was actually a separate room, was a separate building in the back of the house.
Yes.
And they cooked the food and brought the food into the pantry area to set it up, and then you served it in the dining room. So as the kitchen has migrated into the house, we really had no idea what to do with it until now.
Yeah.
And I think also the part of the reason for that was because kitchen fires were so common at the time.
That's how you burn down the whole neighborhood. Yeah.
Right.
Let's not burn down the house. Let's burn down the shed in the back.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you got a lot to overcome, Mike. You've got to overcome legacy thinking. You've got to open people's eyes to a lot of the new technologies and the new options. I mean, there's now pizza ovens you can put in your house, Allan.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of opportunities, and that's got to be a lot of fun to work on, I think. So.
Oh yeah, it is. I really enjoy, because I wanted to be an engineer, and so it's engineering without going to engineering school.
Virtual.
Yeah. It's here's the parameters of the room, here's the budget, here's what the customer wants, and then I go back, or one of my team goes back, and we sit down and we figure it out.
It's cool. It's creative. It's awesome. So we're talking to our buddy Mike Serafolian from Tri-State Interiors. We're going to continue the discussion talking about kitchen and bathroom remodels. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
People really don't know how to finish wood properly.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I resent that, Ron Swanson. I know how to finish wood properly. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV and our pal Mike Serafolian from Tri-State Interiors. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Well, for one thing, you can send us messages that way. We encourage you to do that. We encourage you to like the page, and if you can't stand, if you got to get your spoiler, you can already check out what the must-have item of the week is, because I've already posted that, Allan. So Hey, Mike, before the break, we've been talking about the kitchen and bathroom remodel. Well, actually, we've mostly been talking about the kitchen because let's face it, that's the biggie, And most people these days have more than one bathroom, so it's disrupting, but not as disrupting as the kitchen. So,
Right.
Your approach is to make this, for one thing, affordable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Focus on craftsmanship, using all the latest technology to make the process easier and to give your customers more options. We've been talking about these 3D renderings that you do and the design process that goes into that.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say, our goal is customer service and getting our customers the best return on their investment. So the best quality materials, the best craftsmanship for their investment, for their money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well that begs the question then of who are your suppliers?
We source as much as we possibly can. Legally, locally, and regionally.
Ooh,
so,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if I come in and I'll show you some stuff, and that stuff is a lot of it's made here in Tennessee.
That's amazing.
Cool.
Awesome. Up in Dixon, you have Dow Tile that does quartz countertops and tile, and then over in East Tennessee we have Cook Cabinets, which is a family-owned business. It started out with, I believe it was two brothers and an uncle in an old dairy barn.
I like those kind of stories.
Yeah,
man.
I see Joe's tail just started
Isn't
wagging.
that where the 3M
going.
company and all these great
companies all began in a garage or a barn,
right,
or some weird unused building
somebody's
somewhere in
kitchen
the woods.
table.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So, but like we said, if you're interested in this, there's so many options too, and you need somebody that can navigate those waters. And like I said, we really love the way you utilize the technology with these 3D renderings that people can just download right on their phone or their computer or whatever. So it's neat. But Mike, hey, I don't think we've told anybody how to get in touch with you yet, so let's do that real quick. How do they get in touch with Tri-State Interiors?
You can call or text 901-409-1333. You can go to the website, and we have a request an estimate where you just put in your information, or you can email me at mike@tristateinteriorsllc.com.
Okay, awesome. So, hey, Mike, one of the things we were talking about off the air is, well, I don't know, do we just jump into our 30 years of stupid? Maybe we should, Mike, because we're going to transition. Mike brought us the 30 years of stupid, but it's also going to lead into another discussion, but it's about the maintenance of your kitchen. Okay, you've got your new kitchen put in, and, you need to take care of it.
There's some do's and don'ts.
What are some of the don'ts, Mike?
Let's see here. Don't take your vacuum cleaner to your cabinets.
Okay. What does that mean?
I
already know what he means, but yeah. You're talking about like the hose. Don't get the hose up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's had a lady that we put in the cabinets, and we were doing some other work throughout the house, and so there was some dust, and the cabinets got kind of dusty. And the best way to clean your cabinets is 1 part vinegar to 3 parts water.
Oh, and really?
Just wipe them down with that solution. But she decided to get out the vacuum cleaner with the attachment, and then we had quite a few scratches to go back.
She didn't have the soft brush attachment.
No, she went and got the wedge.
Yeah.
well, trying to get rid of those scratches, then that becomes its own thing.
And the thing with that is, you never know what that brush has picked up. You never know while you're working with it what it might have picked up, and you run it across there, and
Well, so. you had a 30 years of stupid regarding a laminate countertop that I thought was pretty relevant. So this is the one that and I've seen this, Allan. I've been in homes where I've seen somebody do this. But what's your tip on that?
So I saw this with laminate countertops, but quartz countertops don't do this either. Took a hot pan off the stove, set it on the countertop.
Yeah.
Called me and said, how can I fix this? Can you fix this?
Yes, we can. We can put a whole new counter on there.
Exactly.
Yes, we can.
So Mike, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. A laminate countertop is basically, you could call it plastic. It's glorified plastic and glue on top of particle board, right?
Yeah, it's particle
It
board.
doesn't like a hot pan.
It's particle board with decorative paper,
Yeah.
and then overlay sheets of plastic on top of it.
I will also add to that, it's not a chopping block.
Yeah,
No.
I've seen people think that this is
Oh,
indestructible somehow.
Oh my gosh, some of the all right. Well, being a I will take the title of gourmet.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk into some kitchens and you look at houses and you're like, did y'all have like a cat fight on the counter? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, were y'all in there with the belt sanders or what were y'all doing? Because
Right.
Oh my gosh, the counters get such a beating.
Yeah, so don't be dumb, people. Do the right, But honestly, I think I think what happened, Mike, is they probably went over to their friend's house who has a brand new granite countertop, and I've seen people put hot materials on there.
Yeah.
There's the debate. This is probably a counterpoint.
I
Mike,
cringe when I see that.
where do you land on that? Because that's what they pitch, right? That you can put hot materials on there.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of doing it no matter what, but what do you say?
There's pros and cons. The most common countertops these days are granite and quartz, and there's pros and cons to each.
Mm-hmm.
Allan is going to be devil's advocate here, but when you think about it, granite at one point was molten rock.
So it came out of a volcano, or
out of the earth, and so if you look at the two materials, granite and quartz, side by side, granite has a better heat tolerance than quartz, because what quartz is it's actually natural quartzite that they grind up into a powder.
Right.
They mix it with glues, resins, pigments. It's kind of like a cooking process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so every slab comes out the exact same, but it comes out and it's only 93% quartzite. So you have about 7% glue and pigment, and heat can damage those resins that is holding the slab together.
Yeah, my rule of thumb with any of that stuff, Allan, is basically if it says man-made or fabricated, I just assume obviously there's some sort of glue, and that's not going to like something hot.
Well,
I just feel like it's a risky maneuver anyway.
Well,
I don't know, man.
It's kind of like, even with any stone, you don't want to have like a nice, good cold morning like this morning, good chilly morning, and somebody slap a big old 400-degree cast iron, frying pan down on it. You also don't want to mark the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So that I get a little cringy when I see people setting the pans and stuff straight on their counter.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going to get them scratched.
Yeah.
That's when they're going to, people aren't always quite as careful as they could be.
Yeah.
And then, you drag something across it and, suddenly you realize, oh, goodness, look what I've done.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now, depending upon what your counter is, I mean, it may mean a new counter.
Yeah.
It may mean a whole lot of, somebody coming out and lovingly working that scratch out or, because,
although you got more of a fighting chance with that than you do with laminate, because you ain't.
Oh, the laminate's
buffing
done.
anything
The
out with
laminate is just like, okay, and what new color would we like?
Right.
Yeah.
But Mike, you've seen it all, I'm sure. So, how do people get in touch once again with Tri-State Interiors?
You can call or text 901-409-1333. You can email me, Mike at tristateinteriorsllc.com, or you can go to the website, tristateinteriorsllc.com, and we have a request an estimate, and you just fill in all your information.
I wanted to ask you about that too, Mike, because we've been basically telling people if they can hear this broadcast, because we have a 100,000 watt tower, so they're listening to us in Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas. How far out will you go? I mean,
roughly about 2 hours outside of Memphis. So Tennessee River,
holy smokes,
Boot Hill in Missouri, down to Grenada.
Wow.
Area, and then over to almost Searcy.
Oh, well then I've been underselling you, because I've been more or less thinking Jackson, Tennessee, down into Mississippi. Wow, okay, holy smokes, they cover it all at Tri-State Interior.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and continue our discussion about kitchen and bathroom remodeling.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan. News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis.
The mics are on. Allan, quiet, sir. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV and our pal Mike Serafolian from Tri-State Interiors. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. You can go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like. Check out our must-have item of the week. Join the Tool Talk crew. Hey, we've been talking to Mike. I keep saying we're talking about kitchen and bathroom remodeling. Let's face it, we're talking about kitchen remodeling today because that's the biggie. That's what holds Allan's interest. And that is the most disruptive thing. But hey, Mike, off air, we're talking about this. Everybody's talking about these supply chain issues, and you pointed something out that was important because. You're regionally sourced mostly, right?
Yeah. So, one thing with the current situation with all the backup at the ports and all the container ships and stuff that, we're hearing about in the news is, we're largely unaffected by that because, we're locally, regionally sourced. Everything is here and we're not waiting on a container ship that has ready to assemble cabinets that the big box store might be telling you, well, we can get them in 3 months.
Right.
And, just a ready to assemble cabinet is just a flat packed cabinet that they make overseas and they send over and they put in a warehouse and,
Yeah. No, it's that's a pretty big deal, Allan, because as we said, with Tri-State Interiors, one of the, among others, the other selling points is the fact that you don't do any demolition work. You don't even begin the project until all of the parts and all of the cabinets, till everything's in place, right? Which is a great philosophy to have.
Yeah. So it's, with like we were talking about earlier with the kitchen being the hub of the house,
right?
That's a rather large disruption, and so I don't want to. It's never fun to be getting calls. Hey, when's my kitchen gonna be back? Put back together,
right?
And I have to sit there and go, well, we're waiting on this part, or this thing.
I've been on jobs like that, Mike, and people do not get happy about that because they're like, well, why didn't you think of that at the beginning of this thing? So,
exactly.
Yeah, we've all been there. So,
well, I got a couple of questions then.
Yeah.
So, all right, here you are, all your stuff. Let's say everything we've got on a job is going to be locally sourced, so we don't have to wait on anything. It's all coming in. Mm-hmm. All right, dying to ask the question because I know on every job I do, there's always a little bit of surplus or like cutting counters.
Mm-hmm.
Those come from giant, huge sheets of stone. So, so do you have like just piles of that laying around or do you have a supplier for it?
Yeah. I mean, there's suppliers around town that you can go to.
Okay.
And there's a warehouse in Collierville that you call me and say, hey, I want granite or quartz countertops. All right. Yeah. Come over to the warehouse and walk around. And if you don't see anything, then we'll set up an appointment to go to one of the distributors, and that's gonna be a little bit more expensive because, it's at that point it's a special order,
right?
But and then if you're looking for, say right now right before the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
I got family coming over and
right.
and that bathroom, I wish it looked better. We have lots of remnants that we can get you special pricing on. We can do a real quick.
So a small vanity or
a small vanity, new countertop.
Okay.
That's something
nothing's
that's
going to waste.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not going to waste, and it's essentially a quick flip. I mean, we can get you a vanity and a countertop real quick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's not a bad idea. So
suddenly I'm sort of going
before the holidays.
So this is the warehouse. This is the value of having that warehouse and having that storage, because I mean that's really, Mike, one of the things we sell this every week is the focus on craftsmanship and the low overhead and really focusing on the fundamentals, which is, it sounds like you've been through enough of these kitchen remodels to know what's the important things to focus on, right? We've all seen the nightmare scenarios.
I'm just picturing the number of people listening to the radio right now, wandering back to the bathroom, looking at the sink, going,
right. That's a good option, man.
Yeah.
So you keep the remnants, and that is a good idea, because, right, like you say, you just go in there and you measure it, and you're like, well, I've got this 8-foot slab of granite. It'll fit perfectly right there. And
I mean, it's, if say Allan calls me and, hey, I want this color and I only need a slab and a half to do it. Allan has either a half slab that he can say, hey, Mike, I want to do this area, or if Allan, I don't have any use for it, it just goes in the pile, and it's a big enough piece that it's not worth throwing away. So
absolutely. So, well, Allan, you're asking a lot of good questions today. You had a question I thought we were talking about off air, that as long as your brain's firing on all cylinders. What was this? You were talking about real estate, actually.
Well, I work with a lot of professionals that are looking at a house.
Mm-hmm.
And, part of what I do is basically give people tours of the hardware store. It's kind of a weird thing.
I still don't know how you make money at that. I need that gig,
it's just kind of a weird thing to be walking through and, all right, let me explain how caulk works. There's just so many people that don't know. And so the question would be here, all right, we're looking for that first home. We're looking for that, and they're going to walk in, and of course the big selling points, you're going to have the yard, you're going to have the street appeal, and then the number one and number two rooms in the house, the kitchen, the bathroom. All right. If they like the house, but they don't necessarily like one of those two rooms, what are some things they could really be looking at to tell them that this is going to be quick and easy? Like something as simple as a new countertop.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you're just talking about, just to update it.
Yeah, just, so somebody's buying the house and they walk in and they're going to call you and they're going to say, hey, this thing's pretty good. It's got new cabinets, but, the avocado green countertop's got to go.
Well, they may look at something and think, okay, this is either going to be a $1,000 flip over, or I'm going to be dropping, $20,000 on it. Like, I guess that's the question.
But there are other options.
Outdated,
if anybody's buying a house and considering remodeling, I'd be more than happy to come out and just take a look at it with them and give them an idea. Hey, this is kind of what you're looking at if you want to update this. But yeah, you're right. Some quick things that could elevate the kitchen, new countertops, take out that laminate, put in, natural stone or quartz.
Ooh, change out the ovens before you move in.
You just gave me a good idea, because we're always talking with our buddy Rick Bowman about getting ready. Okay, let's suppose you're not moving today, but you're going to be moving in 8 months. Well, you get your credit ready, you get your financing ready. Well, to me, Mike, what I think would be a good idea is if somebody knows that they're going to be moving, they should get in touch with you now. They could visit with you, consult, and get all the latest kitchen options, get all of the latest design ideas, and so when they're walking into that home, they already have kind of an idea of what it might look like when they remodel the kitchen.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're thinking about a remodel next year, I know it's busy time of the year for a lot of folks because of the holidays, but start planning now.
I'm a big believer in that.
We can start the planning process now, so we can hit the ground running after the first of the year. And not to mention, if we get everything wrapped up by December 31st, you can sign the contract and say, I don't want to start until whenever, but you can lock in that pricing for this year.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I think it's just good to start the conversations early, man, because you just, and also it just gets it gets the creative juices flowing. And so, like you said, Allan, they might walk into that house and go, after I met with Mike, I feel like I know a little bit, and I can kind of start looking this kitchen over through those eyes.
Well, how many times have we heard this? Well, I liked everything about the place but this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it usually comes down to either a bathroom or the kitchen. It almost always comes down, those two rooms. Well, I really didn't like the fact that they put, polka dot tiles in the bathroom.
Yeah,
you've seen some crazy. I mean, come on, Mike. You have seen some insane stuff.
I did a kitchen up in Mumford. It was a fire. The kitchen wasn't damaged, but there was smoke damage. But I walked in, and the cabinets, God love whoever painted these cabinets. They were avocado green and brown.
From the 50s or what?
I don't know. It was the frame of the door. The frame of the cabinet doors was avocado green, and then they painted the middle panel brown.
Yeah, somebody was watching HGTV, and they saw some little cute bathroom for the kids or something, and they thought, my kitchen will look good that way.
That's
but,
just frightening. I've seen some tile designs that I am sure were a hot ticket in 1976.
Yeah.
Because you were partying hard then when you picked those colors. And it's a whole lot of decades later.
There is a whole conversation to be said about bathroom and kitchen design through the decades. From the 1800s, Allan, when you were cutting your teeth, to now, and honestly, you're talking about funky bathrooms. Dwight Eisenhower's wife put a pink bathroom in the White House in the 50s.
Wow.
There is
the 50s, that's what they were doing.
There is a society called Save the Pink Bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
These people have fallen in love with it, and that's their whole mission, to save the pink tile bathrooms.
Yeah, I'm not going to join that group. So, hey, Mike, this is great, but people, even if you're not ready to remodel yet, you need to lay the groundwork. You want to start the conversation and educate yourself. So real quick, Mike, how do they get in touch with you at Tri-State Interiors? So.
You can call or text 901-409-1333. You can shoot me an email, Mike at tristateinteriorsllc.com. You can. We have a request an estimate button on our website, tristateinteriorsllc.com.
Absolutely. And make sure you tell them that you heard Mike on Tool Talk Radio. Well, you are listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar, Memphis. We're going to change gears a little bit. When we come back, we're going to talk with our friends Rick Bowman and Shelia Litman from Weichert Realtors Benchmark, and I'm going to go untie my tongue.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome to Hour 2 of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And if you're just rolling out of bed and you missed any of the show, Allan, never fear. Because
that's right.
they can catch any of our past episodes. Where do they go for that?
All they got to do is hop on any web browser and go to tooltalkradio.com, and they can catch up on all of our past episodes, or they can just click on the Spotify button and they can take us with them.
Yeah, Spotify's great. I know we're on other platforms. I tend to lean on that because that's the one I listen to every
That's
day,
the base. So. That's our base platform, but they can catch us on the Facebook platform and any place where podcasts are served.
Quick tip, people. Make sure when you type in the search bar, if you go straight to Spotify, that you type in Tool Talk Radio.
Yes.
Sometimes you get to some sites that you're not going to want to see, Allan.
Right.
There's a band out there called Tool that you definitely got to steer clear of. Folks,
okay.
So I'm sorry.
Tool Talk Radio.
Especially if you're with the kids. But anyway. All right. Well, you know what business is very family friendly, Allan? And they help families immensely. This is the dumbest segue I've ever done. But if you've got a roofing problem, if you've got, let's suppose, you're unclear whether your roof may be covered by your homeowner's insurance in terms of a replacement. You know who you should call? Terrible. Jay Hill with Big M Roofing. The guy, Big M Roofing and Remodeling, because they do great remodeling work. Jay is a Master Elite GAF installer. They install roofing systems. They don't just do this. Isn't just throwing some shingles up on the roof. This is a full system. It makes and I can attest to this, folks. They put a new roof on my house, and my utility bills have gone down every month. Every month they've saved me money, Allan.
Well, you know your house distinctly needed a lot of help.
Yeah, my house has its own issues, so of course. But Jay Hill, great people over there. But the big thing with Jay, the reason you're going to want to call is, in addition to being a Master Elite installer and accredited with the Better Business Bureau, is because Jay is a former insurance agent who knows all the ins and outs of the making a claim, whether or not you have a claim, and navigating the waters of a claim. And I'm telling you, he makes it much quicker and easier than you think, because you're expecting, okay, this is going to be a 6-month process and it's going to be a lot of back and forth. No, not so much. He pretty much takes care of business.
Well, this is what happens when you deal with professionals that love their business.
Yeah, absolutely. So get in touch with the good people over at Big M Roofing and Remodeling. Call Jay directly, because he's funny anyway. He's funny to talk to. Give him a call on his cell, 901-484-5645, or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. Well, you know who else is fun? And I'd say probably mostly family friendly. The good people over at Weichert Realtors Benchmark. And Rick, you brought your, we've got Rick Bowman here, and you brought a guest.
Yep. Thanks for having us back. Good to see you guys again.
Oh, is it?
Well, I'll let you know when we're done.
Let's see how that's going.
But depends on how much coffee we give him.
Yeah, for everybody that listeners that haven't heard us on the other shows, we have 3 companies: Weichert Realtors Benchmark, Benchmark Mortgage, and Benchmark Credit Score. So we're the only outfit in town, or maybe the country, that does all 3 under one roof. So today we're kind of focused on mortgage a little bit, and I brought Shelia Litman with me, who is our CEO, CAO, Senior Manager, Vice President, big man on campus of our mortgage department.
She's in charge of
She's
stuff.
in charge. That's right. If Sheila asks me to do something, I do it quick.
Yeah, when Sheila says jump, it's how high. Well, you deal with the financial end, Sheila. So you're.
I do.
Sheila, what is CAO? I know CEO.
Chief Administrative Officer.
There you go.
Okay.
I have more titles than what I can remember.
Yeah, because you've been there a while, haven't you, Sheila?
20 years this month.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
So, well, Sheila, it's good to have you.
A long
And
time.
you helped us get our home. I remember.
I did. I remember that. Yours was a little unique.
Everybody remembers our home.
You know what? That is the calmest phrase that has ever been used about Joe's house. It's a little unique.
Yeah. When you buy a home from Prince Mongo, people remember that. So,
yeah, you own a Memphis landmark.
Yeah. Well, Rick, we've been talking about this we've been talking about what an unusual market we're in, what unusual times. And so you really do got to have your ducks in a row, and you got to know what's going on, right? I mean,
well, in real estate, finding a house is it's difficult, but it's easier for customers to follow the process. You get to go out and look at homes. You can see them. You can touch them. You can see how the neighborhood feels. It's easy to wrap your head around it.
yeah.
The mortgage side of the business is a little more difficult. Now, I know, Joe, you were on top of all of your numbers when you did your mortgage.
Don't roll your eyes at me. And if you can't hear the dripping sarcasm through that.
So in honor of Halloween, I brought costumes today.
Yeah, this plays great over the radio. Okay.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So Rick's got his Captain America mask over there. I don't know what the.
Yes.
What the
Well, the point being, we are the good guys in the mortgage business. Okay.
You can take the mask off right now.
No. Is
Joe
that
was getting
distracting?
confused.
This is radio. Rick understands this is radio, right? So
Yeah, that was for you, Joe.
Okay, so you're the good guys of. Okay, that was
That's
cheap.
right.
Leave the cheap gags to us, Rick. Okay.
And of
But,
course, he's going to want you to leave that mask. though.
That's
But
right.
I will take the mask. So okay.
But no hidden fees, no bait and switch, no over promising and under delivering, and warehouse fees, application fees. What does that even mean? But people will pay them.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we're going to dive into. The good guys over there with the terrible dad jokes happening over there at Weichert Realtors Benchmark. Well, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
You're making a plan while I'm being a man, just winging it.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Long live the MC Bat Commander. Little Aquabats there, folks. Now that's the kind of energy we need here, Allan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our pals Rick Bowman and Shelia Litman from Weichert Realtors Benchmark. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, give us a like. Check out all the action over there. And if you've done something really stupid to your home and embarrassing, trust me, people, it's very therapeutic to take pictures of that mistake and put it all over the internet. We will spearhead the movement to get the word out about your incompetence. So,
well, there you go. That was encouraging.
We'll put it out on Tool Talk Radio on Facebook and for all the world to see. Rick. And we're also happy that Rick is getting in the spirit of things. It is Halloween weekend. Rick's brought in some costumes that play really well over the radio. Rick, thanks for bringing that in, man. So, anyway, Rick, we're talking to Shelia, and we're talking to you and Shelia because, Shelia, you're in the financing end of things, right? You're in the mortgage. If this was Star Trek, Rick's Captain Kirk, and you're kind of like in Scotty's position, right? The heart and soul of the operation.
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that, Rick. So,
she's running the show. But I think, we got several topics. Rates are obviously the biggest topic when you talk mortgage to people. Mm-hmm. And I actually heard what I think was an honest commercial the other day, completely honest. Mortgage company, I don't remember the name, said, rates are so low right now, you can pick up any mortgage company and get a good rate, but it's service that makes the difference. And that's really what we try to key in on at Benchmark Mortgage. It's the customer contact, the communication. Most people don't finance a home more than a few times in their life. And so it's different every time, and there's a ton of questions, there's a ton of paperwork, and guiding someone through the process, especially a first-time buyer, is very important. But this commercial, was honest. It said you can get a good rate anywhere. It's the service. But the rates are not always as easy to understand as you would think. It's easy to understand what 2.5 or 3.25 is, but there's a lot behind that. There's a lot of fees that come into play, and so some lenders will put out a great rate, but it's got I mentioned earlier, a warehouse fee or an application fee. Wait a minute, I'm going to have to pay to apply? Warehouse fee. So you picture this huge warehouse with all these shelves, and what is there, a bunch of money on these shelves? What's the warehouse fee?
Preach it, brother, because that's what put Blockbuster Video out of business. They base their business model on late fees and rewind fees and things that irritate their customers and stuff. So those fees are, those are awful.
But Sheila, bring us up to speed a little bit on what rates are doing now.
Rates are still great. Rates are still historically great. They have gone up a little bit from where they were maybe 3-4 weeks ago, but we're still, right around 3%. It was interesting a couple of times this week, a couple of different times this happened. I quoted people 3 1/8, and I got the response of, "Oh, why is that so high?" And, we've somehow lost all perspective on what a good rate is, because now everybody thinks they should have something in the 2s. But, people were buying houses when rates were in the 7s and 8s and 12s and 15s. So, we're still, I saw an article the other day that said, it was an interesting headline because it said mortgage rates are expected to rise 30% in the next year, which is kind of alarming. But when you read the article, it was, rates are going to go from 3, probably close to 4 by the end of next year. So I think we're on maybe a gradual, slow, trend of increases. But I locked in somebody this week on a 10-year loan, and they kind of had the the perfect combination of factors, a 10-year loan, excellent credit, a lot of equity in their house. It was a refinance, but we locked them in on a 10-year loan at 1.875.
Wow.
Which is just amazing. I think that is probably the first one that I can remember that we've done in the ones.
You just triggered me. What? How did you do that? Is it because they put a lot of cash down or something?
It's a refinance. They've been in the house a while, so they've got a lot of equity in the house, had excellent credit. All of that plays into the rate that you'll be quoted.
Holy smoke. Okay, now I'm sort of thrown, Alan.
No,
I didn't know you could do that.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, too, because I don't think young people today really understand, Alan. I remember our first home, I think we were negotiating over, is it going to be 12 or 14% or something like that? And even then, that seemed sort of reasonable.
Right. A lot of the first-time home buyers that are, the younger first-time home buyers in their 20s and 30s have never experienced rates above these levels.
Right.
So they, when you start talking about 3 or 3.5 or even, 4%, they're just freaked out over that because they think that's a really high rate when, if you look at the big picture, even if rates go up to close to 4% by the end of next year, that's still a historically really, really low interest rate.
Yeah. And Rick, we've talked about this pretty much every week, and I don't know how long this situation is going to continue, but it's here in Memphis especially, there is not a lot of homes for sale, right? Which changes the whole, it makes the landscape more like a battleground in terms of winning a home.
And the low rates are driving that to a degree because you can buy a lot of house now. You can buy a $300,000 house for the same payment that you can get a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
Because rates are so low.
I talked to somebody yesterday who told me they were paying $2,000 a month in rent for a 3-bedroom apartment, which is just crazy. They called about pre-qualifying to buy a house, and you can buy a nice house for $2,000 a month. So.
Buy a lot of house.
Exactly.
No kidding. So, well, what advice do you guys have for somebody? Maybe they're not selling today, but maybe they're going to be, or they're not buying today or selling, but 6 months or a year from now, they don't just show up the day before. They need to be laying the groundwork now, right?
Some do.
Don't look at me that way, Rex. You can't see the scathing accusatory stare that he's giving me. So, yeah.
Well, honestly, we do get a lot of calls where someone has been thinking about buying a house. They say, okay, now I'm ready. Okay. And I said, let me get qualified. I found a house I want. I need to close in 30 days. And we don't have any information on them.
Yeah.
And then we pull credit, and we might find a problem when we pull credit.
Right.
Well, 30 days may not be enough time to fix it. So if you're, anybody, I would recommend any buyer that's interested in buying a house in the next 6 months to a year, go ahead and get a file started, see where they are, because even folks with good credit, we can help them raise those scores to get better interest rates. That's one of the factors that came into play on this 1.875 rate. The credit score was extremely high.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
that's one of the things that we encourage, because sometimes even if somebody knows they have good credit, if we run credit and you've got a 740, that's a great credit score. But if we can get you up to a 760 or a 780, sometimes by doing something as simple as paying down a credit card balance, sometimes it's just not that difficult. And you can get your score up 20 or 30 points. That could equate to a better interest rate long term. So not always people who have credit issues. Sometimes it's, getting your credit from good to great makes a difference.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to throw in an odd question for you then.
Okay.
Because the average person may not get money over time. So I'm going to throw in the word compound. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about that, pay down that credit card a little bit. Mm-hmm. What happens on the mortgage side? How much money are we talking over the life of a loan?
It can be significant. The difference, the mortgage rates kind of go in 20 credit point kind of buckets. So 700 to 720 is one rate, 720 to 740 is another rate. Once you get to about 780, then you're qualified for the best rate. And each little 20 point bucket in score can equate to 1/8 to 1/4 of a point in interest rate. So over the life of the loan, it's a significant savings.
You talk about 1/8 of a point, over $100,000 over 10, 20, 30 years.
Right. You're talking about a significant.
Yeah,
significant
it's
amount
thousands of dollars.
That is thousands or tens of thousands.
Sheila,
of dollars.
wouldn't you say too the difference between a 620 score and a 720 score could be 0.5%
could
in
be
rate?
or more. So yeah, once you get into the lower credit scores, then it's even more important. So yeah, the big takeaway from that is, if you're thinking about doing something in the next 6 months to a year, don't wait till your lease is up in 30 days. Or till you're ready to stick the sign in the yard to sell your house. Go ahead and get everything in order and be prepared on the front end. And best case scenario is we run your credit and we say, oh well, you have an 800 credit score, you're perfect, keep doing what you're doing. But at least you know.
Yeah, and to be honest, some of the okay, I'm just going to admit this here on the air. I don't do credit cards, Allan. I've had a debit card pretty much my whole life. And so I don't borrow a lot of money, and I've got my mortgage payment. But people like me, they may still have credit issues because why? Because
because you don't have enough credit.
Right.
So one of the things that factors into it, of course, if somebody's going to give you a mortgage and loan you, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 or more, they want to see that you have a history of paying somebody.
Right.
That you have a history of paying your bills on time. So for somebody like you who doesn't have credit cards, who doesn't have a car payment, or maybe somebody who's renting who doesn't even have a mortgage history on their report, you may not have enough credit. So sometimes that's one of the pieces of advice. Sometimes we tell people to pay things down. Sometimes we tell people to go open up another card or another type of account to have the right mix of credit. Just to get the optimal scores.
Yeah, the credit score factors in a lot of different things, not just what you owe, but the mix of credit. And it was born out of the mortgage industry. And typically you need 3 accounts to develop a good score.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big, messy process, people. You got to understand your credit, but they'll help you navigate it at Weichert Realtors Benchmark. Real quick, before we go to break, how do people get in touch with Weichert Realtors Benchmark?
901-202-2000.
I'll give you this, Rick. It's an easy-to-remember phone number. So I give you grief about a lot of things, but the phone number, A+, sir. Yeah. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and then continue our discussion about how to win a home in this crazy market.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Sorry about the mess. I've really let the place go since you killed me. By the way, thanks for that.
Sarcasm self-test complete.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Just another Friday night at Allan Gilbreth's house. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pals Rick Bowman and Shelia Litman from Weichert Realtors Benchmark. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Give us a like. Allan, I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get to our must-have item of the week. We're going to try, folks. If not, you may have to just carry it over till next week. But we're in the middle of some pretty cool discussions. So
now we're talking money.
Yeah. Before we get to that, Allan, real quick, tell us what's going on with Geeky Side TV this week.
Well, of course, it is the most glorious month of the year. It is October and Halloween.
Yeah, I can't wait till it's over.
I'm modestly fond of Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, our big shows right now are Scary Stories with Kalila and Afterlife Mysteries. People can just pop on to their Roku television and look up geekysidetv.com, or they can go to the geekysidetv.com website and catch up with the shows there.
Yeah, and if you're a content creator that has something not to do with Halloween, because it's not Halloween year-round, Allan, get in touch with them, because you may put them on the air, right?
I could indeed.
Okay, awesome. All right, hey, guys, before the break, we've been talking, of course, about this crazy real estate market, and it's interesting to me, Rick, to me, with the high demand and everything, I don't know, it seems counterintuitive that rates would be so low, but I'm not complaining, but it's just such a weird situation to me. So,
not to go down too long of a rabbit trail, but rates are typically based on the 10-year bond yield and the Fed funds rate. Okay.
Yeah, my eyes just glazed over.
Yeah,
but go
right,
ahead,
right,
yeah.
right.
I perked up. You see Joe just went.
I'm nodding as though I know what he's talking about.
So to cut to the chase, both of those economic indicators are as low as they've ever been. Okay, low as they've ever been, which would dictate that rates would actually be lower than they are now. Okay. So there's still room to go lower, but at some point the lenders don't have to do that because there's enough demand for money. They just make a little more money while, make hay while the sun shines. So they're actually artificially high where they are now.
Really?
Based on economic indicators.
Holy smokes. So, okay. Hey, can I circle back on something you talked about, Rick? You talked about this bait and switch type of thing where you sit down with somebody and they're like, yeah, we can get you this rate. But then when you read the fine print, there's all these fees, which that's the bane of our existence. All these little hidden charges.
And, the public is rate sensitive. So if a great rate is advertised somewhere, it's going to make the phone ring. Now, back in the day, as we say, I worked for a mortgage company that we would all advertise our rates in Sunday's paper. Okay. So Friday.
That's what everybody was reading. So,
yeah, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So Friday afternoon, talked to the boss. I said, what rate are we going to run for Sunday? And they said, well, ABC Mortgage over here, they're going to run 5%, and I know they're really at 5.25%. Okay. So we're going to run 4.875. I'm like, well, why are you going to do that? Well, because the phone's going to ring Monday, and then we'll see what the rates are Monday. And I was like, man, I don't know. It just doesn't feel.
This is one of the reasons Rick became self-employed.
Yeah. And so anyway, you should put a rate out there that you can really do, but that's just not how the business works. And especially I was going to talk about competition. The big guys.
Let's not name names here, Rick. But
no names.
Oh, but there you go.
So, though, for those who can't see through their microphones, now Rick to indicate he brought out his Hulk mask. That's great, Rick.
So the big guys are the ones that spend tons of money on advertising. They get tons of business over the internet or mobile apps or whatever, and it sure it can work and you can get a great rate that way. But we're small. We compete based on the service. It would scare me to death to deal with someone I can't see, or I don't know where they are. Are they in a basement in New Jersey?
Right.
I don't know.
Or you can even get on the phone sometimes.
Right. Even get on the phone.
You can only reach
exactly.
between 9 and 5 Monday through Friday.
Yeah, you guys, they walk in your office or they call 901-202-2000 and somebody's going to answer the phone.
And the end of that story for me is that, we get people all the time say, well, you're at 3%. I just saw somebody had 2.75. I said, that's fine. Let's see if it's real. If you will spend 5 minutes and call them and get that in writing and show it to me, I'll do whatever I have to meet it, even if we don't make any money.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't sound smart, but how many times have I had to do that? They can't get it in writing.
Yeah, because you start breaking down the fee.
Right.
What sort of fees? What are red flags that people need to look for? Because I'm kind of curious what these fees are. Like signature fee, $5,000 or so. I don't know. I don't know what these fees could be. So.
Sometimes it's related to origination fees and discount points, which are not necessarily a bad thing as long as you know that's what you're doing. So when we talk about rates on any given day, there's a whole range of rates available. You can pay what's called discount points to get a lower rate. So basically you're prepaying the interest as part of your closing costs to get a lower rate over the life of the loan. On the flip side of that, there's often an opportunity to take a higher rate and maybe get a credit towards your closing costs. So for first-time home buyers who are maybe kind of trying to scrape up the money for down payment and closing costs, that might be an option. So where the bait and switch comes in that Rick was talking about is when these lenders quote a low rate that maybe has 1 or 2 discount points associated with it, but they forget conveniently to tell you that it has discount points until you're already so far committed that you can't back out, or it would be costly or cost you your closing date to be able to back out of it. So it's really a disclosure thing, which is why we ask them to get it in writing. So if we're looking at matching something, a lot of times people will send me something and I'll say, well, okay, yeah, they're charging you 2 discount points. If you want to pay 2 discount points, we can do that rate too. And then, when you start talking about the discount points, and a discount point is typically 1% of the loan amount. If you're talking about, a $300,000-$400,000 loan and you're paying 2% just to get maybe an eighth or a quarter lower rate, when you really, put pen to paper and start talking about it, it's saving you maybe $20, $30 a month, and you're paying $6,000 or $8,000 to do that. So, people don't realize what the significance of that is.
Yeah, it's important to understand that relationship so you can make a good decision. I have to pay this to get that.
Right. Well, and some people may be in a situation where there's a big difference between a first-time home buyer or somebody that's maybe a little more established and all that. There's all these dynamics at play.
Well, and one thing I want to point out with real estate, unlike a car is an immediate use item that has a set life expectancy. When you get into real estate, everybody, I want to throw in the game, the game term long ball. You are playing a game for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, not 5.
Right. In most cases, that's true. Now, sometimes, first-time home buyers are buying a house and they know that, within the next 5 to 8 years, they're going to outgrow that house. A first-time home buyer is probably not going to be in the first house that they buy for 30 years. So in that case, paying down discount points to buy down the rate when, your break-even point may not be for 12 or 15 years. If you're a first-time home buyer buying, a little 2 or 3 bedroom house, you're probably not going to stay in that house long term. So that's one of the factors that you have to consider in there too. So that's one of the things that we do is try to talk to people about what their plans are, what their goals are. Is this the house where your kids are going to go from kindergarten to high school and you're going to be there long term, or is this a starter home that you're going to move up from in a few years?
And Allan, I can tell you from experience, this is a rough estimate, but typically one discount point, the break-even period will be around 5 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you start thinking about this, it's kind of like compound interest or investing. It's not today that we're really worried about. It is the goal. Are we talking 5 years, 10 years? Are we talking the option that 5 years might turn into 10?
Exactly.
It's something to consider, and this is why sitting down, I'm get real Southern. Sitting down with y'all gets so important. Because you need somebody to show you where the money is and how it's going to affect you, not just today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Everybody's goals and plans are a little bit different too. So, each customer that we look at has a different credit situation, a different income situation, different family goals, different, long-term, short-term. And so that's what we try to figure out to find the best loan program for that individual. It's not a cookie cutter where we put everybody into the same type of loan.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because that's the whole key there. No, there's no two homes are alike. Nobody's needs are exactly alike, and you need people that know how to navigate all that. So once again, Rick, how do people get in touch with you at Weichert Realtors Benchmark?
Yep, Weichert Realtors Benchmark, Benchmark Mortgage, Benchmark Credit Score, 901-202-2000.
Absolutely. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, and I didn't even make a snarky comment in Rick. I was very civilized, although I think I just undercut that. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll promise, Rick, I will be civilized.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Did somebody say boom?
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Ann, get your nephew away from this place. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. Actually, that was your niece, right? Sandy, anyway. I blew it. Sorry, Max. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our friends Rick Bowman and Shelia Litman from Weichert Realtors Benchmark. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. You can listen to any of our past shows at tooltalkradio.com. It'll take you right over to the handy Spotify link, which is a great platform. Very easy to use, people. Even if you're techie challenged or technologically challenged, you just push a button.
Click the button.
It's not really that hard, people. So, and give us a 5-star review and like us. So, and actually, I think they can give their honest feedback too. If you think we're a bunch of loudmouth jerks, All press is good press on Spotify.
Just make sure you spell Thordenson correctly.
Yeah, good luck. Or pronounce it correctly. Anyway, real quick, before we jump back into our real estate conversation, I want to remind everybody about what I got going on, Allan.
Oh, you do stuff, don't you?
What if you need a screened-in porch? What if you need a patio cover? What if you need a deck or a fence or really anything made out of wood for the outside of your home? Well, give me a call at 901-921-7105 or visit my website, thorshomes.com. You can even see some pictures of me with some of my favorite Cubs players who were mercilessly traded and are not there anymore. And it's why did I bring that up? But you can see a picture of me with Javier Baez with my custom bat that I gave him. But anyway, you don't want to hear about that, Rick. So we're gonna change gears.
As we're all rolling our eyes, going, "Oh."
Nobody cares about my woes when it comes to the Cubs. But hey, Rick, we got a little bit more to get to here. There's I want to talk about the first time home buyer because there's that's a big thing, right?
Well,
so
and
pull your mask out.
For first time home buyers, it can be really scary.
Okay, I don't know the reference. What is that, Allan? That's a horror mask. So
yeah. Brandon is now so excited from Geek Tank.
That's Jason.
That's
Jason from
mask.
Halloween.
Yep. That's
okay. Well, there's no blood or anything on that.
No.
So.
But it's a scary process for a first-time buyer.
It is. I
we get
remember those days.
And we get a lot of questions about first-time buyer programs.
I'm going to throw out the question.
Sure.
Down payment.
Yep. Down payment is tough for first-time buyers.
Absolutely.
So first-time buyer programs are typically available for second-time buyers, third-time buyers. Okay, there's not anything that's really just restricted to somebody buying their first home. So usually what it means is someone looking for down payment assistance, which can be had in several ways. There's Shelby County down payment assistance, City of Memphis down payment assistance. There's you do have to qualify. The catch-22 is you need more income to qualify to buy a lot of house. But after a certain point, you make too much income for these programs. So you got to fit in the right box, okay? There's education that's required, and typically it's not a gift. It's a loan over the course of maybe 5 or 6 years. And if you sell the house prior to that time frame, you have to pay that back. So it's a little sticky. It's available and people use it, and we have used it, but you need to understand, the terms and conditions.
Excellent.
Right. It's not free money.
Our oldest daughter used that program. She got a great rate. She got some assistance, but I think it was like 5 years or something. She's locked in, so she can't just flip the house, Right. But so, but that's that's to do with credit, though, right?
Well, credit's the other piece of it. You still have to qualify based on credit. And I did want to mention benchmark credit score today because we hadn't really talked about much about that. But 15 years ago, when the mortgage markets crashed, credit score became even more critical. Okay, it was hard for people to get loans, and so we saw an opportunity there. Sheila and I spent an inordinate amount of time researching how to help people raise their credit scores.
Yeah,
I will tell you most of the products out there are geared towards removing bankruptcies or collections or get rid of that judgment, things like that. That doesn't necessarily help you qualify for a home loan. Okay, and I can't get into too many details because I don't have the time, but if someone disputes something on their credit and it's reported the wrong way, it will lock you out of getting a home loan until you reverse what you have done. Take the dispute off, and most people don't know that. So if you sign up for one of these programs, they send out a bunch of letters and dispute all the bad stuff on your credit. It can actually keep you from getting a home. So our program's based on education, technology. We use computer programs that understand the credit scoring model. I can run your credit, Joe, and I can tell you what your score will be next March.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we should try that. It'll be interesting.
I want to try that because I've got a real estate transaction coming up, Allan, probably at the beginning of the year that we'll probably talk about here. It's going to be very interesting.
And we talked about adding accounts. I can simulate, I can simulate adding an account to your credit and what that will do to the score.
Right.
So we know what works, but the computer tells us exactly what works.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you take advantage of the technology we've got today. So, and I want to just say something to you, Rick. And boy, it really kills me to have to look him in the eye and compliment him and be nice because Rick and I are friends, and that's not how men talk to each other. But Rick, I want to tell you this: the first time before I knew you, we bought our first home. It was a little 2-bedroom, fix-it-up type of house, and we dealt with a different realtor, and she was a very nice lady. And but the process, I want to say, I went to about 4 different places. I went to do something for the closing. I went to something because of my credit. I went to the real and then our second home we bought with you guys, and it was more or less walking across the hall to this department or talking to the mortgage. You know, it was all under one roof, which was pretty cool, and I think it saved me a lot of money in fees too.
It saved you a lot of conversation, a lot of miscommunication. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's worked well for us.
That's kind of cool. And Rick, you know, he's one of these guys where if he sees a problem, he's like, "Well, I saw a new business opportunity." You saw credit problems, so you're going to just start your own business to.
Yeah, it's helped us out a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, because I've watched Allan. I've watched his company evolve. Because I think I remember when you were actually working for somebody else. Right.
Yeah, it's been mid-90s.
Yeah. I learned pretty early on, Sheila, that I don't like working for anybody. I like to work for myself. So it's like, but well, you make your own, situation that way.
Right.
So, all right, what other stuff do we need to cover today, especially in this weird,
Well, I
market?
think we're kind of talking about first-time buyers. I think the important thing is to get started early. I love it when somebody calls me and says, I'm getting married in 6 months, and I know that we're going to buy a house. I'm like, perfect. Let's go ahead and look at what you've got now. Let's sit down and talk about the process, and we'll put together a roadmap for you guys so that in 6 months, you're ready to go. We qualify people by phone at no cost, no obligation. I think that's the key to getting started. So we're really non-threatening as far as dealing with this process, because when I qualify somebody, I say, give me a call. I'll take your information. You don't have to get dressed up and go to the bank. Because nobody wants to go sit at the desk at the bank and try to borrow money. It's just uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me to borrow money, and I know what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, nobody wants that. So it's funny you said that, though. I think you kind of buried the lead. You said there's no fee for that?
No.
Huh. Why didn't we lead with that, Allan? I mean, that seems like pretty... That's the thing. Having these conversations and getting educated and getting prepared is basically free. I mean, and you're going to learn something, too, if you come in.
Yeah, we're all about the education, because if someone understands what they're doing, they're going to be a lot happier with the result. The expectations are set correctly. There's no disappointments because they know what they're doing. And I have seen through the years a lot of buyers just kind of pushed through the process, and they get done and say, I don't know what happened, but...
Well, yeah. I'm going to throw in an educated customer is a happy customer.
Well, for everybody,
exactly.
Yeah,
because they don't feel abandoned, they don't feel confused, and I'm going to look in the corner over here. And when you start talking finance and rates and discounts and what your credit score really means, and so so for all of you folks out there that are listening right now that are thinking maybe I can, folks, that credit score, pay attention. It is so valuable, isn't it?
It is, and it's important to do things in the right order. So you want to make sure your credit's in the right order. Make sure you know what you're pre-qualified for before you start going out looking at houses. We get people who call and say, "I found this house and I love it. It's $450,000. This is my dream house. I love it." And we look at their numbers, and maybe they can only qualify for $375,000. And they've looked at this $450,000 house, and maybe if they hadn't done that, the $375,000 house that they see would have been perfect and they would have been great. But now that they've seen what they can't have, nothing that they can qualify for is ever going to measure up to that. So just save yourself that disappointment and know what you can qualify for before you get out there looking for a house.
Well, and know what the payment's going to be when you go look at something.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I've had folks look at houses and they say, well, what will my payment be on this? Well, it'll be $2,400 a month. And they say, oh, I thought it'd be $15,000. Well, we could have looked at that before we went through the front door of this house. And that's typically what we do. We qualify someone. What's your price range? We run the payment, and that way they know when they look at house A, B, or C what they're going to pay for each one of those houses.
Yeah, and you can't waste your time these days anyway, because while you're looking at house A, B, and C that you can't afford, suddenly the houses that you could afford have already been sold.
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah, you gotta really be realistic in this.
The mortgage and the real estate go hand in hand, and it kind of amazes me how many real estate agents sell houses and don't know anything about mortgages and just go out and write a contract without anybody being pre-qualified or without having any idea what their mortgage payment is. I mean, you wouldn't buy anything else without knowing what your payment was, but somehow people do it all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Rick, we got a couple minutes left, and now what's this new hat? You've pulled out your new.
This is the scariest costume of the day.
Oh, a Secret Service hat. Where did you get that? That's not real, is it?
I could tell you, but
all right. So how does this? That sounds okay. How does that relate to our boy? This one really played better over TV. Alan. You should be on Geeky Side TV with this, but. What does this mean, Rick?
Everything's controlled by the federal government now as far as mortgage loans, okay?
Okay.
One of the things on our list was self-employed borrowers, and I'll make this quick, but plenty of people out there making lots of money but getting paid cash and not paying taxes on it, okay, as income. Now, being self-employed yourself, you've probably never run into anything like that. But if you qualify based on the income you pay taxes on, because all the loans today with the best interest rates are guaranteed to some degree by the federal government. So it's all kind of tied together. You've got to pay taxes on your income to be able to use it to buy a home.
Yeah, you cheaters out there. So pay your taxes, and I don't like it either, but you gotta pay up. So real quick, how do they get in touch with you, Rick?
901-202-2000.
All right. Well, Sheila, it's been great having you in. Rick, it's always good to see you, my friend. And your Halloween costumes are less than impressive, but they get the point across.
I got your attention.
We hope we got the point across today here on Tool Talk Radio. Whether we did or not, Allan, it's too late for you can have your money back. So on behalf of my friends Allan Gilbreth and Sheila Litman and Rick Bowman, I'm Joe Thorderson, and our buddy Max behind the glass. I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.